Well, here we all are at CloudCampAustin 1. I almost said 2. I don't know why it would be 2.
Right.
And we've got another edition of Profiles in Courage. I'm one of your hosts, Michael Cote, as always, and we've got another guest with us. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Are you on camera?
No, I'm not. It's
How
just
will people
you.
know that that's not me?
Well, they recognize my voice.
My name is actually Michael.
That's right.
So,
but everyone calls me Cote.
That's true. If people start calling me Cote, then I think we have something to worry about.
That's true.
My name is Michael Wilde.
And, people from Red Monk frequent listeners may know you from the IT Management Podcast episode you were on, as I recall.
I was on one episode which apparently was the highest listened to and highly subscribed episode. And I constantly get, I'm signing autographs now, and
That's right.
It's become a launch pad.
Well, I'm sorry we've created that problem opportunity for you. Because nothing is worse. You want to go to the grocery store like you need a red bell pepper. Yeah. And the next thing you know, 3 hours later, you're having to call in the bounty guards and not bounty guards. What do they call them? Bodyguards. In the
Royal
big
Mounted
SUVs.
Police.
That's right,
Dude.
the Mounties.
The Mounties.
So why don't you tell us? Here we are at CloudCampAustin, and you've got a shirt that's basically like advertising something as a silver lining to the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
So what does a Splunk guy care about the cloud?
That's a great question. I work for a company called Splunk, and we make a cool software engine that is best described as a search engine for IT data. And my shirt says, "Cloud computing meets silver lining." Earlier, we were in the unconference session, and the session we were talking about is public versus private clouds and Amazon, and I made a statement that unfortunately with folks like Amazon, GoGrid, Mosso, they all have the same problem. You're still buying IT infrastructure, and you still need IT people, and you still need to manage all that stuff. And so Splunk is a really easy application that just indexes, allows you to search and report on any of the data that's happening up in the cloud, like all your transactional logs, web logs, a lot of the stuff that's just generated from the apps that you have running. So, we generally are seen as someone who gives you a great deal of visibility in your infrastructure and hopefully puts a silver lining on cloud computing.
And now you've actually been in the IT management business for quite some time.
Hence the podcast. I can't,
And you used to work at Tivoli, if I remember correctly, right?
I used to work at Tivoli after it was acquired by IBM. So I'm not an OT guy.
And so looking at like being part of the Splunk is sort of what I would categorize as sort of one of the wave of sort of new ways of doing IT management, along with lots of other folks.
Right.
And like how when you look back on whether it was OT or not, on sort of like the Tivoli way of doing things,
right.
the old traditional way, and sort of the newer way. Like what do you see the differences are between these two different approaches or groups of products, if you will? To give you a broad question, or is there no difference?
Well, that's a good question, because when I was at Tivoli, which hopefully the explanation about Tivoli is pretty easy, but the company started with its products on standardizing and wrapping software around the process of managing IT. And we used to say, you don't want to buy point tools because they're outside of your own process and they're really completely separate. They have their own interfaces, their own training.
You wanted to buy a whole suite of tools.
Yeah, it's like there's no reason why you need to buy QuickBooks. You could just buy SAP.
Right. So we had to switch batteries, but you were going on. So Tivoli,
As I was saying,
like encouraging buying a whole suite of tools.
Well, buying a whole suite, like buying SAP versus buying QuickBooks and a number of other products. And the products are designed with a general theme of how management should be done. And then you have the whole other side of the equation, which is, guys in the trenches need the tools that they can use to get work done. Tivoli and CA and the big 5 or 6 or 2 or 3 now, whatever it is, great. When you have a multi-billion-dollar IT business, you want to manage the whole process. But so Splunk comes out of that era of, well, Tivoli and IBM, they've covered a lot of things, but, I'm in a diamond mine and I need a special tool to do that. And that's sort of where the Splunk or spelunking idea comes with, getting inside of a data center. So we built this extremely powerful tool that is used by a lot of the technical folks in IT. I mean, we've built our business on the backs of the geeks in IT. We're actually moving up the stack now to allow, levels of management to gain visibility on what the heck's going on. Most of the time, those worlds work really well together, because if there's a product like Splunk, none of the big five have anything even close to what Splunk does. They don't deal with all the unstructured data. They're awesome at monitoring and all this other great stuff. So when a customer asks me, hey, how does Splunk work with Tivoli? How does Splunk work with Nagios? I get that all the time. It's pretty much a human process that's plugged together where the IT management system will say, hey, something is wrong over here. A task will be doled out to a human to then go look over here. Splunk makes it really easy to go look over here fast.
Right. So there's sort of nowadays there's a proliferation of sort of best of breed or niche tools.
Sure.
Instead of the complete solution. That
we used to battle against. Yeah, we used to battle against that best of breed.
Right.
Crap. You need the framework, and it.
But now both seem to be able to coexist pretty well.
It's a happy world, and it's probably because of the cloud.
So I have one last question for you. Now,
okay.
Here in Texas, a couple of years ago, we had this local distillery, like 5th generation, that makes Tito's vodka. And I've noticed in the liquor store, there's now a Dripping Springs vodka. And since you live in Dripping Springs, as I recall, have you come across this vodka? Do you know anything about it?
Your memory is amazing. Yes. I live in Dripping Springs, Texas. And the Dripping Springs vodka is apparently supposed to be quite good. However, there was like a huge explosion in fire at the place where Dripping Springs vodka is made.
Terrible.
It was I read about this on DS.
So we should be buying this up. It may not come anymore. I'm going to go buy some tonight.
I think we're going out after this. So
yeah, but
maybe we'll have to
some
stop by
that.
Specs on the way to Little Woodrow's.
There you go. Well,
Yeah.
I think we've gotten some actionable advice here at the end. That's good. And so, thanks for being on this Profiles in Courage.
Profiles in Courage seems like it needs some sort of theme.
Well, maybe we'll put that in there.
You need something like.